because you did experience this. We've even got a picture, I think, of it.
Yeah, there were 2 occasions. Once, just after I had my 3rd child, I lost a lot of hair. And then after COVID, I had COVID and then my Crohn's disease got bad. Yeah. And literally handfuls of my hair were coming out.
Gosh, that's your hair.
That was in one wash. Wow. And I was like, that can't be right. Hang on a minute.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of hair to lose in one hair wash.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
coincidentally, my first research paper that was published many years ago was Postpartum. Now, it's one of those hair losses that, and the research was about 50% of women in this country will experience some degree of postpartum.
But postpartum means after pregnancy.
After pregnancy, about 3 months after delivery. But it's one of those hair losses, fortunately, that actually self-correct. And it's 100%, which proved today really, Carrie, is that it's temporary. So it's 100% regrowable.
So that's a tremendous relief. So if you're watching this and you've just had a baby and you're losing your hair, it will self-correct. And I'm assuming that's what happened to you, Gary.
Yeah, but it felt absolutely awful. It was... You know when people talk about your crowning glory? You don't realise how much you rely on your hair, how confident it makes you feel till it starts to fall out and then you're like, hang on a minute, who am I?
It's a very important point because it has an effect on morale, confidence. So all of us at the company and, we're very much aware of the emotional side of hair. It's so important. As I said, it can affect confidence, how you feel. You can be lovely dressed and accessories, but if the hair's not right, you're not feeling, as good as you could be.
Absolutely. So we've been able to be reassuring about losing your hair after pregnancy, but there are other occasions when hair is lost and it's not as reassuring, the message that you can give.
No.
So what are the other main reasons that people lose hair?
I think stress is a big one, but the extreme of stress is what's termed in the public as alopecia, but the real name is alopecia areata, which is patches in areas, and that's very distressing. There's also, interestingly, Vanessa, one that's a fairly new, relatively new one called frontal fibrosing alopecia.
Gosh, what is that?
And it's mostly peri- and postmenopausal women only, where it's an Alice band gradual decreasing here.
Gosh, that must be terribly upsetting. Yes.
That's
is hair thinning just part of the ageing process? Does everybody's hair thin or just only some?
There are exceptions, and my wife, I think, looking, she's 81. She won't mind me saying she's 81. I'm 78.
Right.
Maureen's hair is phenomenal. So a lot of it depends on genetics, whether you've got a predisposition. But everyone gets... most people will have some finer diameter hair as we get older. I mean, I get a lot of compliments, but mine's a little bit finer as I've got older. But it's mostly genetically determined, whether you have...
Now, alopecia, which, as you say, is this loss of hair in patches, and most of us obviously very aware of Gail Porter, who was very famous for her long flowing hair and then has been famous for years now for really having no hair. Sometimes it grows back a little and then it doesn't seem to stay, and she's not worn a wig or...
Well, Vanessa, Gail came to see me.
Yes.
And interestingly, there's certain characteristics where you can have some of the hair, but it gives it a view that it's actually going to fall out from that characteristic. Wow. And Gail was with me with some reasonably decent head of hair, but there was these characteristics, and I had to break it to her that she's going to lose it.
Such a shame. And no way, no lotion, no potion, no shampoo that can bring it back?
No, there can be. With the single hairs, it means that the immune system is not that much affected. But when you get all over, then it's really affected the immune system.
So can it grow back after menopause?
Yeah, that's a different hair loss.
Let's go to the calls. Bridget's on the line in London. Hi, Bridget. So you've suffered quite considerable hair loss, I hear.
Yeah, I did a couple of years ago, And it was actually the medication I was on.
Right.
They had me on such a high dose. But when they reduced it, he'd give me steroids for my hair, and it started growing back within 2 days.
Oh, that's amazing. So how does it look now?
Yeah, perfect. Got a good head of hair now.
Oh, well, that's great news. Is it a frequent side effect of medicine?
Yeah, depending how strong the medication is. The chemotherapy drugs generally, particularly, I have to say, on breast cancer, the vast majority are going to cause hair loss. But again, when you come off the medication, those sheddings are temporary. So, you know, the medications are temporary hair loss.
And it can be desperately upsetting, especially when you lose your eyebrows and your eyelashes and your hair and everything else.
Again, with cancer patients, it's sometimes it's always the second question. If they're going to go on to chemotherapy, am I going to lose my hair? An oncologist has said to me, Glenn, you wouldn't believe, sometimes it's before, am I going to survive? Am I going to lose my hair?
I'm not surprised. It's
I'm not
such
surprised.
a vital part
Massive.
of who we are, don't you think so, Eve?
Essential part of your body. And, of course, when your body's under threat and you're terrified of cancer, you're also terrified that you'll look so awful, you know, because a lot of people have cancer and they've hidden it very well.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
Very. Let's talk to Carol in Surrey, and she does have a question for you, Glenn.
Yeah.
Hi, Carol. What's going on with you?
Hi. Well, I've noticed that since my father and stepmother and mum died, which was all about the same time 5 years ago, my hair was
Lost
auburn.
all of those people at once who are dear to you. You poor thing. I'm so sorry. Gosh.
Well, I got through it all and I sold their property, sorted things out with my sisters. But I used to be auburn and I've gone silvery grey.
Uh-huh.
I thought, oh, that might have been shock. But every time I brush my hair, I'm getting not loads of nose, but I always got to empty the brush out.
Right.
And I wondered if it could be because I had a major operation a year ago. I think I've noticed it since then, really, maybe, if I think
Let's
about
ask Glenn.
it.
Would that be the reason for the hair loss, do you think?
Yeah, but it's a year ago is a bit too long. Carol, it would have recovered from the operation. It's too long a year ago. But you mentioned anxiety, and the hair is underestimated as a very good barometer. So, you know, it's very likely that was the initiating factor.
So the loss of all these people that Carol loved all at once or so close to one another, that could have caused the hair loss. But now it's 5 years later. Are you saying it won't revive, it won't come back?
No, because I think potentially there's another hair loss going on.
What do you mean?
No, another reason for the hair loss, as opposed to the anxiety.
What sort of a thing might it be, do you think?
It may be ageing, it may be gradually thinning, which she's not been aware of until you become aware of it.
Right.
So it's gradual.
Right.
It's not like an increased shedding.
Are
that can
there
happen
things
quite
that Carol
suddenly.
can do to make her hair look thicker or more
But
dense?
that comes into the hairdressing domain, Vanessa, in terms of products. You know, there are a lot of products that will give volume. It's important as well to shampoo fairly frequently because our hair looks better when it's clean as opposed to a bit dirty. And so all those things, nutrition, you look at nutrition, that if you're eating better, all those things can play a part.
All right. Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much indeed. And sorry for that awful loss all at once. It must have been dreadful. Let's talk to Elizabeth in Essex. Elizabeth, you're losing hair from stress. I'm so sorry. What's going on?
Well, I just basically had hair loss since 1990. I had a very nice head of hair, but I have chronic stress. I had polyps in my colon, was diagnosed with diverticulosis. So I'm just wondering, does that affect a major hair loss?
Well, it was a long time ago in the 90s.
Yeah.
So this is
Elizabeth, again, I'd like to say yes and reassure you or give you some degree of reason for it. But because it's so long ago, that, you know, it's not connected to the polyps or the past of those years ago. There's other, you know, perhaps another hair loss going on.
Another reason for it.
And it may be just as the hair's got thinner from an ageing point of view.
That, as simple as that. Elizabeth, are you still looking as if you have a reasonable head of hair or not so much these days?
No, it's going more on the top, on the crown area, literally, and it comes out in a lot of clumps when I wash my hair. Very
sorry to hear that. So what would you recommend if Elizabeth were to come and see you?
Well, first of all, is obviously accurate diagnosis, diagnose it. But the women do respond to topical, Vanessa, external applied hormones, which are very, very low percentage. And with the thousands of blood tests that we've done, there's no indication of any change to hormones systemically in the inside. So that would be one of the first thing that we do. And there's extremely good results on that.
So you would recommend Elizabeth goes to see a special trichologist, because you wouldn't get those from an ordinary doctor, or would you?
No, that's right.
But I'd never heard of that. I mean, I think that's amazing.
What a topical application.
The topical application of something that actually you could give her, you could check her.
Absolutely. What we were seeing many years ago,
yes,
and it's a given now, is there women have got dormant follicles.
Yes.
Right, so if you can stimulate some of those dormant follicles on, not only were we retaining their hair, but we're actually getting an improvement. So that would probably be in this
and this would help in this case, you think?